Hi, my name is James Speer. I'm a systems consultant at Valuize, and welcome back to Valuize Your Gainsight Experience, a video series where we take a deep dive into Gainsight's features and functionalities to help you successfully adopt, implement, and maximize your Gainsight investment. Today's video is part one of a two-part series where we'll be taking a look at vertical reporting in dashboards that are persona-based. Our reports will focus on the value cycle, which we will take a high-level view of. Vertical reporting provides insights to each persona at every level within an organization by reorganizing a single dataset to highlight key points of interest. Today, we're going to talk briefly about the value cycle and take a look at reports that are aimed at different levels of personas within an organization. So today, we're going to look at three different dashboards as well as the C360 with some reports added to each of those areas. And we're going to specifically be talking about vertical reporting, which is using a single data set to show the same data to different persona levels. And the data that we're looking at is the value cycle. And the value cycle can be pretty easily summed up as value creation, value realization, and then value messaging. Value creation would be when a CSM has identified a source of value for their customer and is beginning to work on extracting that value and then getting the value to that customer. That could be either a new feature has been released or they have an expansion that's coming up, something along those lines. Value realization is going to be the conclusion of that value creation where the customer has received the value from the CSM. That extension's been closed, those new features have been delivered and onboarded. And then the final piece is value messaging. And this is really an important piece. Value messaging is going to be like an executive business review or a quarterly business review. And that's where the CSM is communicating with the stakeholders that are actually paying for that product that they have been driving value. So just because a company is receiving value from the product doesn't mean that the stakeholders are aware of that value that's been driven. So this is a very important step that kind of closes that loop. And so what we're looking at here is an individual company. So we can see that on January 12th, there was some value created. And then on May 16th, we also had that value realized. And finally, that value was also messaged. And we have a drill down here that is showing our company, the activity date, the CTA that it's related to, and if applicable, a success plan, and the CSM that it completed it. And we'll see the same here for the messaging as well as the realization. And realization is that activity getting closed, and the messaging is going to be a separate activity, which was our executive business review. Now, when we're looking at the C360 level, we're able to see all of the value creation that's happened historically for this company, as well as that value messaging and value realization. And that allows anybody that is having a touch point with this company to go ahead and come in, take a look at the value activities that have been driven towards this company and get a really close look at what's going on specifically for that company. And, in this case, seeing how long it's taking to go from creation to realization and then to messaging. So at the individual contributor level, we're looking at a CSM. Right now it's targeting myself. And we can see all of the companies that are assigned to myself in my book of business and the time that I've been spending towards them. So we can see with Tetra Tech here, there's been some value creation, a little bit of value realization, then lots of messaging. And so it might be time for me to really get started on doing some more value creation so that that realization can continue. With Equifax, we can see that value creation has happened, some messaging has happened, but we haven't realized any of that value. And then for Boise Cascade, we have some value realization, but no messaging. So although that value realization has occurred, nobody's been informed about it. So for that manager level, we have our manager here, and we have the two employees that are working underneath our manager. And they're able to see that this person has been doing a lot of value creation and some realization and a little bit of value messaging. But our other CSM has only really started getting that value creation going, hasn't done any realization or messaging. And it's a good opportunity for us to go down there and speak to them and find out what blockers they're running into so that we can help them move into that value realization section and then get that messaging going out to the companies that they're working with. And finally, we have an executive level. And in this case, we're looking specifically at all of our managers. So we can see that this manager has quite a bit of the value creation. This manager has a lot of value messaging under their purview. And finally, this last manager doesn't really have any value realization. So it's time to take a look at them. We've also added some filters where we can take a look at, at-risk companies. So what we're seeing is, all right, these companies are at risk under this manager, but there is value creation, value realization, and messaging going towards them, which is going to set us up for a good QBR and then potentially for a great renewal. And we could also filter by region and possibly ARR, whatever is going to be most appropriate for your executive levels to make decisions. And so that's a quick look at vertical reporting, where we're seeing all of this data is coming from the same object, and we are separating it out with different views so that different personas at different levels can take different actions towards it. And thank you very much. Gainsight's reporting and dashboard features can be effectively leveraged to demonstrate key insights using a single dataset. Targeting strategic hierarchical levels within your organization will ensure that value is being driven for your customers. If you have any questions about this feature or want to learn more, check out the resources section of the Valuize website or contact our team of customer lifecycle and Gainsight experts. Keep an eye out for our next video, where we'll be sharing an in-depth look into setting up a rule for capturing activities related to the value cycle.